Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and today we have another really great issue as Ben and Rachel from Renegade Royale are going to be joining us to talk the Dark Horse comic that they just dropped today when we're recording this, July 29th. So before we get into that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, follow, all of that good stuff. I know I say it all the time, but hey, all that helps the podcast grow and helps the algorithm gods get us out there. So by all means, go ahead and do that. Make sure you visit your local comic book shop. Everything is going to be in the show notes as well. If you need to find a comic book shop, if you want to find out where you can find both Renegade Rule and Renegade Royale. And like I said, we're going to dive right into it today. No fluff, no notes. Welcome to the show, Ben and Rachel. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out and sharing these comic books with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on and talking this Gamer Girl Adventure series that we've got. Volume 2, Renegade Royale, like you said, drops in stores today.
Yes.
Well, and before we go into your origin stories and whatnot, I also want to say, like, Renegade Rule, though, kicks off with one of the best lines ever, like, quit dying, you stupid bitches. So you know right away you're in for fun. So I just wanted to set the groundwork that this is a very, very fun comic before Matt starts asking you more questions.
Oh, easily my favorite opening page of any comic I've done.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so usually we start with origin episodes. Matt is freezing for some reason. We're going to call him Mr. Freeze tonight. He never freezes when we don't have guests. So we'll start with Rachel. So obviously being a comic book creator, usually you begin by falling in love with comics. So how did you venture into this world of creating?
Yeah, so I don't know, I guess it was high school. I really got into DC Comics. And then from there, I guess I was a DC fan pretty much through college, and then kind of discovered the wonders of indie comics, and I was always interested in writing, so I knew this was something that I always wanted to just kind of venture into, and here I am now.
So what were some of your favorite DC characters?
Definitely was a big fan of Wonder Girl. I love Teen Titans. Teen Titans was my favorite. I probably have almost every comic from
Oh, wow.
I have all the originals, and number 1 is framed on my bedroom wall and everything. But yeah, big Teen Titans fan, and yeah.
So when you ventured into indie, were there any big indie ones you fell in love with?
There was a lot. I guess it was really grad school for me, so it was kind of 2015, 2017. I liked all the Image comics. Yeah, it was kind of like pretty much anything from that era. I was reading all of it.
Reading as much as you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
So but you've always enjoyed writing. You knew that you wanted to do that?
Definitely, yeah. And it was one of those things where Ben and I just joined forces pretty early in our friendship, and we were like, we got to write something together. Like, this is great.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to work with Rachel on something.
That's awesome when the vibes just like connect and you're like, this is a person that can match my energy in writing. So Ben, how did you end up falling in love with the world of comics and becoming a writer?
Oh man. So, I mean, when I was like little kid, I mean, right out the gate, formative memories was Batman, the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, X-Men. So the nerd hooks got in early, playing a lot of video games, started out as like a Nintendo kid and became a PlayStation teenager, whole weekends lost playing Halo over at a friend's house, which definitely inspired a lot of the energy of Renegade Rule, like those long weekends spent gaming with friends. And, I kind of got into the writing side, when I was in high school, I used Kingdom Hearts, the Game Boy Advance game, to make sprite comics when I was a teenager. These silly little Kingdom Hearts sprite comics. So that was some fun training, I guess, for comics and comic writing. And then just started, going from there. Making more comics. My first graphic novel, I kickstarted to get that out there. I put in a few years in the old video game industry, put my time in the design mines, and and have now just been able to pursue comics. It's been great working with great people, artistic collaborators like artists like Bruno Hidalgo, who I did a book called Heavenly Blues on, Sam Beck, our artist collaborator on Renegade Rule and Renegade Royale, and working with Rachel, working with Jeremy Whitley on a book called Dashing School for Wayward Princes, which I think will be coming out next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. So getting to make comics, it's just been getting to collaborate and jam with a lot of amazing collaborators and get to make some really fun stories.
Yeah. Well, and I love that we've had because we ask every creator their origin story. And I love the number of people that have said X-Men animated series, because like I didn't honestly watch it when I was little, but I did before X-Men 97, because we were also interviewing two of the people that worked in the original show. And we got to tell them how many comic creators fell in love with the cartoon and then to the book. So it's always awesome to hear that.
Well, my story there was watching it as a kid and seeing an episode come on, and they do that previously on. And I remember as a kid going like, oh, geez, I must have missed like 8 episodes between this and the last episode I watched. And geez, all this mythology, we must be so deep in the series. It must be like season 4 or something. And then I go back and I rewatch as an adult. I'm like, what do you mean this is the 5th episode of the series?
Yeah, back when we couldn't stream everything.
That's
you had
nonsense.
to figure it out. Yeah. Oh, and going back and watching it as an adult too, though, it's obviously it's very cheesy, but it's still fantastic and ahead of its time.
Trying to cram 6 issues of Chris Claremont comics into a single episode sure is something.
Yeah. So, and are you, Rachel, Ben mentioned loving video games. So did you love video games too before you created this comic book?
Definitely. So about the time that we started working on Renegade Rule, I was very heavily into Overwatch. And you can see a lot of parallels with the first volume in Overwatch. And I mean, I was playing that religiously. Other than that, I was always into like narrative-driven games. So I love the Life is Strange franchise. And I played a lot of Assassin's Creed Origins. I really like that one. So I guess that's the more of the recent things that I've played.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Matt's actually our video game expert. I am not. So he's struggling tonight. But
Yes, I'm back. I don't have my mic because I need the extender because God forbid, laptops. My Mac decided it doesn't want to have internet anymore, so I sincerely apologize because it usually only happens when a guest.
When we have guests, yeah, never a dull moment.
Overwatch definitely inspired a lot of, especially kind of like the world building of the game. The fact that it's a 4v, that Renegade Rule starts as like 4v4 shooter with very different and elaborate classes with different costumes. The different win settings. So Overwatch was definitely formed the basis of just giving us our basic team shooter format that kind of gave us the structure of the book as they made their way through the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I do want to say, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lauren. I was just going to say you speak about Overwatch and things, and I know we briefly talked about it before jumping on, and it's games of old, your Call of Duties, your Overwatch, your Rivals, even your Fortnite, like all of that stuff kind of blends in. And I know you guys, talking, inspirations and things, but this really truly reminded me, and even the little intros you guys had at the beginning of each book, I really loved because it was a shout out to those gaming days of old. And I really, really appreciate that and how in depth with the video game styles and different maps you guys chose, especially calling out like, oh, we suck at this map, because everybody has that map that they suck at. I know for a fact I do, and no matter what game it is.
Well, and I do want to say,
you remember the location of the rocket launcher.
Yeah, you always remember like, hey, oh man, it's just those. It really felt like I appreciate it as
very much trying to evoke, Counter-Strike, GoldenEye. Especially for me, the King Kahuna the Halo trilogy.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, and I know Lauren's like, what is any of that?
But I loved the comic book. I absolutely love the comics book. So if you're listening to this and going, I don't really like video games, this comic's not for me, you would be wrong, because it's the relationship of the characters in the game is so entertaining and incredibly sweet as well. So why don't we dive a little bit into that? If you guys want to give us a brief synopsis on Renegade Rule, which is out. It's been out for a few years. You can buy that, and then we'll go into Royale.
Yeah, absolutely. Renegade Rule is about the girls of the Manhattan Mist, 4 best friends and members of a pro gaming team competing in Renegade Rule, which is a virtual reality team-based shooter. This takes place in the year 20-something, just far enough in the future for self-driving cars and VR to be good. And they managed to snag themselves one of the bottom seeds of the national tournament, and now have to kind of come together and put their creative, outside the box game style to the test as they deal with romantic distraction, infighting, in teams who are on paper way better than them. And for team captain Amanda Cassidy, who's in a not great financial spot, dealing with, trying to pursue her passion while also trying to deal with some of her mother's healthcare issues. And this tournament is kind of a do or die chance to try to both get her mother the help she needs and not have to sacrifice her own dreams for the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of not a lot, but the parental issues sprinkled throughout. I thought that was a nice little touch, because it really like grounded and made it very realistic. Whereas, yes, it's about the video game, but I felt like it was really about the relationships between these people, whether it's romantic or friendship. I felt like you could really you have all those people in your friend group in one way or the other. Like you have that person that you're like, how'd you end up in a tree? I don't know. Well, what do you see? Leaves? Like we all know that person.
That's exactly what it is. So much just in terms of Renegade, the series being a queer series, we love a good coming out story. We love a story that puts the romance front and center, which we do a little more in Renegade Royale, little friends to lovers going on in volume 2. But especially in Renegade Rule, to me so much is just the experience of, the importance of queer friendships and just those friends and stuff. So, we really thought that, so few of these stories really just focus on a group of queer friends and letting them just be a big group of chaotic dum-dums. And damn it, isn't that the kind of representation we also deserve to see?
It really, I mean, I loved, you're right. They all had different, but while they're all dum-dums, they still each had a specific skill set. And I think one thing that you really guys both did was in each map, each setting, the first match, Amanda kind of has her time to shine, but everybody kind of has their moments to shine and their moments that they add in. So while, there's a lot of the infighting, or maybe there's some things going on the side, they still do showcase that hey, they are basic kind of that family aspect, or how close they are. And then I also really loved the fact that the big love at the end was essentially 2 people where, I still have to kill you, even though I think you're cute. And the whole, do you want to go out after this? And it's one of those, what you're asking at a time like this, where there's money on the line and you're the top player in the world and everybody's watching. There's a lot of really good aspects that you guys threw in there.
I mean, watch any headlines from the WNBA and tell me that storyline isn't realistic.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I just, that's actually what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are probably talking about on the court. I mean, Paige Beckers, she just actually had her girlfriend reveal just came out, and there was I forget what the term is these days when they, you reveal the big announcement, I guess, about your new relationship.
Did she hard launch it?
Yes, that's what it is. Hard launch. Yes, they hard launched.
Oh, it's not going Facebook official anymore.
No,
it was nobody's going Facebook official anymore.
It's not Facebook official. They hard launched.
I'm the oldest one here for sure.
and Paige Becker's hard launched, and yes, that's one of those moments I thought of. I was like, oh yeah, totally right. But esports is also like a wicked big thing these days, and even back in 2021, when this first came out. So I saw like a lot of that in it as well.
Well, this was just leaning into, if you read any like sports manga, sports comics, the inherent sensually charged atmosphere between protagonist and rival.
Yes.
So we decided to just kind of lean into that.
It makes it fun. It really does. What was, I guess for you guys both, what was the craziest thing you wanted to add that probably you didn't, as far as just outlandish video game aspects or in a relationship aspect? What is something that you wanted, but it didn't quite work out in the book?
Ooh, Rachel, anything come to your mind there?
I mean, I feel like we maybe wanted a little bit more of a certain relationship in volume 1 that maybe gets to shine a little more in volume 2.
Yes.
We definitely had to trim some stuff from volume 1 that fortunately then we got volume 2, which then got like a ton of space to really shine. I would say there was, kind of like, I definitely wish, some of the matches, I'm always a greedy bastard. Apologies if it's okay to swear.
Oh, you are more than how
I always want more pages to like tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always want, so like there's definitely areas where we really had to figure out like the rules of the game, and keep it kind of at that, we present the rules pretty early on and we kind of had to stick to that. I would have loved to have had like, just the raw page count to have started like doing just really like diving kind of deeper into the game mechanics and had that play more of a role in just the kind of, trickery that became the Mist's gameplay style. There's one round where we kind of start in media res, and I love the transition from them at a super fancy cocktail party to them just jumping through explosions.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely a part of me that's like, damn, I wish there was the pages to have like done that full round instead of kind of having to cut the first half of it.
Right. Well, before we have you guys pitch Renegade, do you think you'll do another one after this?
We would love to. We have already started coming up with some ideas. Kind of taking our love of video games, our obnoxious love of New York, and putting them together. I think, just the way that, Renegade Rule followed Amanda and Renegade Royale was more Tanya's story. I think volume 3 might be our favorite distracted sniper cat girls time to shine.
Oh my gosh, I loved the costume. Yes, kind of going into
yeah.
Royale.
I was
now
just thinking a part of it, so I just started laughing to myself.
My favorite things was the costumes, because it reminded me again of like Fortnite or Overwatch, where you can change your costumes. And that's always my favorite thing. I know in Fortnite I play as a hot dog.
Fortnite definitely became a big inspiration moving into Royale. The fact that it's Royale, it's a battle royale now.
That's
it's a massive horde of people against everybody else. But yeah, again, it's a new video game. It's a new season. Everybody gets new skins, new character classes.
It was what went behind creating the new skins and things? How did you pick and choose? All right, we're gonna go with this character design because Tanya's a samurai, and then we've got the cat, and it's everybody has a fun.
You have the Anne Rice LARPing douche
yes, and then you got the vampires and things like that. It's so much fun.
Part of it was definitely working with Sam. Because if you've read some of Sam's other comics, stuff like Verse. She is so good when it comes to like more of that fantasy aesthetic, swords, like blades. So we kind of were like, okay, just in the interest of always mixing it up, doing something different, Renegade Rule was a lot more like guns and gunplay. Yeah. Volume 2, let's have it be more like sci-fi fantasy, like put a little more fantasy into the sci-fi, have a lot more like swords and scythes and all that stuff.
It made it really personal too. You had to get close to everybody you were kind of, attacking, trying to take down, kill, and everything versus, sitting camping in a tree, sniping for however long when they can't find you. This issue is very much up close and personal. And as our twins, there's a few characters, and we're not going to spoil this, that right off the bat, we meet one character, actually two, really. You got Tanya's dad that plays a big influence, in her life. And then you also have her girlfriend that we kick off this with, and man,
we instantly don't like.
Oh my gosh. It was,
I mean, it wouldn't be a proper rom-com if there wasn't a romantic false lead as TV tropes.
Absolutely. Listen, as the resident, we're self-proclaimed, rom-com expert here on the show because, as Lauren knows, I'm a sucker for Hallmark Christmas movies.
And I can't stand them.
I love all of rom-coms are like one of my favorite genres for whatever reason. I will just sit there and my wife and I will get wine and we will go to town on some rom-coms. So you really played into those, but also from like a game aspect, you blended a lot of different genres there. How is this one working for you? Was it a little bit easier coming off of Rule into Royale? You guys had that clear vision, or what was the inner workings for you guys?
I think the biggest way Royale was easier than writing Rule was to a certain degree. We had so much experience writing these characters now, and they were just so in our head that it was a lot less about trying to consciously come up with what their lines would be and how they would interact with one another, and more just kind of setting them up and then just like pressing the play button and letting them naturally bounce off each other. Like it took very little conscious work to figure out how they would interact with each other and what they would be saying to one another in any given situation. It all flowed very naturally. And I think that just, again, now we're in volume 2. We had a whole new volume to just know these characters inside and out.
Right.
And what I love about the duality of them is volume 1, I feel like for us was definitely like an action comedy, but it was definitely heavy on the comedy. Mm-hmm. Now we have volume 2, also an action comedy, super heavy on the action, but still a comedy. So it's kind of like we definitely leaned into the esports theme in the second volume a lot more.
Because that's the other influence is also a lot of this like sports stuff, but I love like Mighty Ducks, Haikyuu.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, like really the ending where sports for volume 1, they lose in the finals. Yeah. That's Rocky, and honestly, more than Rocky, it's Bring It On.
Oh my gosh!
Starring Gabrielle Union.
Yes.
It's the ending. We got that's the main inspiration for the ending of them losing, but in a way that's still
come out happy about it.
It was like a happy ending despite losing. Everybody still was like, "Hey,
it's pure Bring It On."
I love that.
Right. Oh my gosh, I feel Lauren, we somehow work Bring It On into.
I know it's funny, because the anniversary of X-Men just came out in 2000, and I had my movie stub ticket from that movie in the year 2000. I saw it the day it came out, and that was when my love for comics started because I fell in love with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And I was like, well, don't get too excited, Matt. I have 2 tickets for Bring It On from that summer too. So
it's an influential movie.
It is. It's a great. I still quote it.
Yeah. So with the action and that switch up, part of it was knowing being really inspired by all that kind of sci-fi samurai. Very kind of like Afro samurai, Darth Vader. Especially that kind of Star Wars short that had come out. So just that kind of sci-fi armor with that samurai aesthetic, especially with the red laser blade.
We were just blade,
I mean, that was just too cool a toy not to want to like play around with, but also it really informing Tanya's character, how she sees herself, how like what the best version of herself is, what it takes to get there, and who in her life she's allowing to hold her back from being that best self.
She has a lot of character growth, I would say too. I know we talked, Rachel mentioned how this one has a lot of that comedy, but a lot more action. But I'll even say this one has a ton of emotional depth behind it too. At the same time, that you mixed in with the action brings out a lot of the emotional depth, especially with Tanya, everything that she kind of goes through. And was that what went behind kind of trying to build her backstory? Was there any inspirations there for you guys, or is, hey, you knew who you wanted to kind of pick and choose? What went behind Tanya and then what she grows into?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of her backstory, you bring up like her dad and stuff. I definitely would say what kind of came out of that was, for any kind of overactive, even hyperactive, over-energetic kid with a really deep imagination who just loved to get lost in their own world and was maybe little too big for, and especially for like parents to deal with, a little too big, little too loud, little too annoying. And
you're kind of describing my childhood, so yeah.
Yeah, so like that was really the experience we wanted to show of Tanya, like to show like, and to kind of dovetail Sasha's character arc, as it's Tanya realizing what she, what she's actually capable of if she stops making herself smaller, and Sasha's character arc of being one of those people inadvertently making her smaller to realizing what it takes to actually be a source of support.
Yeah. And that can be most often the source of support can be the hardest part in a relationship, I even find, because sometimes we don't know how to support somebody that we deeply care for. And I think the way you guys both kind of went about it, and both of them, the way they grew was wicked clever. Do you guys have a character that you kind of put yourselves into? If there's any one character that you kind of find yourself connected to the most in this group of the Manhattan Mist, or any of them really, actually, it doesn't have to be the Mist. Tanya, okay.
Yeah.
So I would say what I like about Tanya is that like I never like to like getting more into the lore than sometimes than the gameplay. I can definitely one of those people that's like, oh, I played a little Overwatch, but I've read every comic, watched every cinematic, read the fanfics. But I'd say a little more Jesse. I'm someone I'm not super competitive. I'm usually more into like, hey, I'm just here to fuck around with my friends than like, and also
Rachel's the one that's competitive, obviously. She's Tanya.
Yeah. Well, well, Jesse also especially has the sense of like, that sense of like, I love games like Deus Ex or Metal Gear Solid where they really encourage you to like get in the gears of the game and figure out all like the weird little shit. So like I love like Jesse's the first is just gonna go in and figure out like, like all like the little ways that the game is broken or the little cheats or Easter eggs. That's what she's playing for. And I always find that relatable, especially, she definitely harkens back to that sense of like, I'm going to get Grand Theft Auto and, oh, what, there's story missions? Sorry, I was too busy spending 12 hours just like running people over.
I don't think I've ever fully played a Grand Theft Auto game story-wise. It's always been cheat codes and how many stars can you get? What can you steal the plane? Can you go into the military? All that kind of nonsense. That's the kind of stuff.
4 has a good story. Grand Theft Auto 4 is actually a really good deep narrative.
I might as well hop in and play it because we might never see 6 at this point.
Honestly. But yeah, so like, I mean, I approach every project as the chance to mix in a ton of different inspiration. So Renegade Royale, it's video game influences, it's real life, it's a lot of sports stories. It's, this was a lot of, action wise, we put a lot of anime, specifically like trying to look at the visual language, how they convey movement, especially, how they convey sword slashes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey, they made Berserk and Bleach. We might as well study it.
Yes, there's a lot of the lore is out there too and study. And I would say that the movements too in the artwork, it's the way the sword fighting and everything. It's very crisp and beautiful, especially with the colors.
I mean, and so much of the switch to the more fantasy story-based action was just let Sam rip.
Yeah.
Let Sam cook.
And I was kind of even thinking, Kingdom Hearts. Some of it gave me some Kingdom Hearts vibes as far as like some of the action and things too, which is, I loved that game kind of growing up. But as with this is now out. Where do you guys have any conventions that you're going to be at? Any appearances where people can maybe find you guys?
Yes, we will both be at FlameCon in NYC.
No, not me.
Oh, you're
I'm
not
doing FlameCon this year.
Sorry, I will be at FlameCon in NY. Sorry about that, Rachel. We will both, though, be at Escape Pod Comics in Huntington for a special signing on August 24th. And in August, I will be at FlameCon in NYC. I'm going to Boise Comic Con in Boise at the end of the month. If you're in Portland, I'll be in Rose City with the book. And then if you're going to be circling all the way back around to New York for New York Comic Con, where I should be doing some signings and whatnot over at the IDW booth for Monster High House Haunters, my bi-weekly mini-series running in September and October that throws the ghouls of Monster High into a big spooktacular haunted house adventure.
Shout out, actually, a quick shout out about Monster High. First of all, my daughter, I have a 6-year-old daughter that's obsessed with Monster High. And so she has some of those comic books because like the way I've gotten my kids into reading is comic books. So she's obsessed with that. So those are going to be must pickups. And then also shout out to one of our Nerd Initiative. We do Nerd Initiative where we review comic books, do a bunch of things. Kat is a big Monster High fan and she has already claimed those books to review. So she's pumped for those. So Monster High, hey, don't sleep on those because I'm even out there picking those up. Trust me, the artwork, everything in there, and those Monster High books are good. And I get myself sucked into that story very easily.
It's such a fun world. I'm working with Sonia Lau, who's doing such a great job. Rachel, is there anything else of like Renegade Rule, Renegade Royale that you want to make sure that we get across here? I want to make sure give you the microphone.
Yeah, I know we talked about it a while ago, but one of my most favorite parts about working on this, all of us collaboratively, was coming up with all of the basically background character designs. We didn't want to have a battle royale where Sam had to just make up a whole bunch of characters and we had no input, whatever. So we were like, oh, let's just add a gorilla in a tuxedo. Like we just made it.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a script like Scarecrow Mega Man.
We just made up a bunch of random stuff.
Which is the best because then it gives if people are reading this, it lets you stop and also admire what's going on artistically, and you're just like, is that? And then you're just picking all of these different random characters. It's amazing.
I enjoyed writing a battle royale without actively infuriating the artist. So there's a lot of panel descriptions where it's like a crowd of a reasonable size in your estimation starts to form.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you want to do on this one, that is you're not getting phone calls where Sam's like, what are you doing? Like,
well, it's nice when you have an artist you trust that you know
Yes.
that they're going to deliver what you're imagining.
There's a line at one point in Renegade Royale where one of the characters says that in this upcoming tournament that 1,000 players are going to be competing at once on the same game map. And in the panel description, we added a note saying like, no, we are never, ever going to ask you to actually draw this.
You should have done it as like a prank just to see what would have happened. And then
and they all have the horse head and they're all horses.
Horses and cars.
It is great. Rachel, aside from any parting shots, is there anywhere that you're going to be that people can maybe come out, see you, get some signatures, pick up some books?
Yeah, as of right now, just at the signing at Escape Pod Comics in my hometown of Huntington, New York. I know that the owner, I just saw him today, and he has many copies that will be available. I also dropped off some Renegade Rule stickers and postcards because I ordered way too many, and I'm still getting rid of them 4 years.
That's awesome. Listen, that's both a good problem to have because now you're circling back to the sequel, and you're going to get people into. Look, that's smart. You were thinking ahead. Lauren, do you have any parting shots?
No, I just want to reiterate, even if you're not into video games, this is a lot of fun. This comic is great. The first one's been out for years. Try to get it at your local comic book shop. That's always the best place to get it. If they don't have it, ask them if they can order it. If they still can't do that, of course, you have Barnes and Noble. And
The
worst case
library.
scenario, you have Amazon. But yes, library. Don't sleep on the libraries, guys.
I'm just saying.
Libraries are
Yeah.
awesome.
My library right up the road is starting to carry a lot more graphic novels and comics. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I was
First
just
and
at
foremost, check
ALA
your
a
local
few weeks
shop.
ago. Librarians are incredible, and the work they do is
Yes.
amazing. And I mean, so much of their support makes a lot of these books possible. Like, so thank you, librarians.
And a
You'll
lot
be
of
shocked how many comic books they have. And a lot of the libraries will deliver to your house. That's how
and
I
a lot of
read Walking
libraries
Dead.
have like local comic cons, like not the comic cons we're thinking of where you're at New
Yeah.
York City. You don't
like
have to go wait in
Clearwater
line.
does a
And
great
yeah,
one.
a
Clearwater,
lot of local
Florida, does a
libraries have started to
fantastic
do
one.
that,
Yeah.
and it's a good time to go out. Or if you find a comic book shop that likes to dress up, like Jetpack Comics in Rochester, New Hampshire, they do a lot of really cool stuff and make everything a party. So yeah, absolutely support
A
your
lot of
local
your
comic
shops will
shops.
order
Man.
whatever you want to. Just have to ask
Absolutely.
nicely.
And last but not least, where can people find you guys on the vast, ever-growing platforms of social media that also seem to be shrinking by day as we lose more social medias?
Yeah. For me, I pretty much just use Instagram now. My handle is @flirtymango, but that's pretty much my socials.
That name is dope.
Yes, I am much less boring than Flirty Mango. I am at BenCon Comics on Instagram, but mostly on Blue Sky. You can also purchase copies of most of my work or reach out directly through my website at benconcomics.com.
Right. And everything's in the show notes too, because that's also the next easiest way. So you don't have to go searching. Everything's in the show notes. Make sure you guys follow them. Check out these books. Hit up your local comic book shop. And as always, if you need a good comic book, we're here to help recommend that. But also make sure you check out what Rachel and Ben are all doing. And we're from Dark Horse as well. Dark Horse has a lot of good books out there. So check Dark Horse out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love Minor Threats.
They're going to be meeting with Archie soon as well.
Yes.
And the whole.
I already got the poster from my local comic shop. They put it in my box. I love them.
And as we know, Monster High, there's a comic book out there for literally anybody.
Everyone.
If you're a parent.
For a little podcast crossover, we just had Jordan Blum on my horror movie podcast, Progressively Horrified. So I'm not sure if that episode
That's
with him
another
is
thing
out
you
yet.
should pimp. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. What is
yes.
this? Yeah.
Check out Progressively Horrified. It's with comic creators Jeremy Whitley and Emily Martin. New episodes every Friday. Every week we recap, review, and analyze a new horror movie with a special lens on what its political themes are and if it has any messages or what it's saying specifically about gender, sexuality, race, class, mental health, etc., etc.
That's really
cool.
I love that premise. We will be checking that.
Yeah.
I know I'll be checking that out. A new podcast.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
One of my kids who's big into horror asked, she's like, why are the girls getting topless in like every scene? I'm like, well, it was the 80s. They didn't realize that that wasn't all people were watching these movies
If
for.
you want a podcast that dives into like the themes, implications, cultural context, and origins of that for hours at a time, this is the podcast.
That sounds amazing.
There we go. Thank you guys again, seriously, so much for coming out. I cannot wait to get back together. Anything you guys always need, we are here. And until next time, everybody, visit your
You're
local
the best
shop. Seriously, peace.